You were not supposed to see this today, but God made sure you did. Something is shifting right now, and if you can feel it deep in your spirit, then you already know. This is not just another message. This is not coincidence. This is not random. This is a divine interruption placed directly in your path because time is running out. And this message cannot wait. There is a reason you paused here, a reason your eyes are locked on these words while others scroll past. You were chosen to hear this, not later, not tomorrow, but right now. Because something urgent is unfolding in your life. Something spiritual, something unseen, something that has been building quietly behind the scenes, and if you ignore this moment, you may miss what God has been trying to reveal to you all along. Listen carefully, because this is where most people fail. They feel the warning, but they delay. They sense the urgency, but they hesitate. They hear the whisper, but they silence it. But you don't have that luxury anymore. Time is running out. There is a divine clock ticking over your life right now, and every second matters more than you realize. The distractions around you, the delays, the confusion, it's all been part of a test to see if you would wake up before it's too late. And this right here is your wake-up call. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That restlessness, that pressure, that unexplainable weight in your spirit, like something is about to happen, something big, something that could either elevate you or completely shake your foundation. That feeling it's not anxiety. It's a warning, a divine warning. God has been trying to get your attention in ways you may have overlooked. Through situations that didn't make sense. Through people who suddenly distanced themselves. Through doors that closed without explanation. None of that was random. None of that was accidental. It was preparation. Because what's coming next requires a version of you that is ready. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Not everyone will make it through this next season. Not everyone will recognize the signs in time. Not everyone will respond when the moment arrives. And that's why this message cannot wait. You are not meant to hear this later, when it's convenient. You are meant to hear it now, while there's still time to act, still time to align, still time to understand what's at stake. Because there is something you've been delaying, something you've been avoiding, a decision you've been putting off. And deep down, you already know what it is. You've been hoping for more time. But heaven is saying, there is no more time. The window is closing, and this is the moment where everything begins to separate. The prepared from the unprepared. The aware from the distracted. The chosen from those who ignored the call. You are not here by accident. You are here because God sees something in you. Something valuable, something rare, something that cannot be wasted. But potential alone is not enough. Calling alone is not enough. There comes a moment where action becomes the difference between stepping into your purpose or missing it entirely. And that moment is now. This is not about fear. It's about awareness. This is not about panic. It's about urgency, because when God sends a warning, it's not to scare you. It's to save you. But only if you listen. Only if you move. Only if you take this seriously. There are things shifting behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. Doors preparing to open. and others preparing to close forever. And once they close, they will not open again the same way. That's why this message found you today. That's why you couldn't scroll past it. That's why something inside you is telling you, pay attention, because what you do next will matter more than anything you've done before. And what's about to happen next will explain why this warning came to you today. This is not a general message. This is personal, and it's meant for you. Out of all the people who could have seen this, it found you, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine design. There is something about your spirit, something about your journey, something about what you've been going through lately that made this message necessary for you. Right now, in this exact moment, because you've been walking through a season that doesn't make sense. Things haven't been aligning the way they used to. Plans you thought were certain have been delayed. People you trusted have become distant. And deep inside, there's been this quiet, persistent feeling like something isn't right, like something is trying to get your attention, but you haven't fully understood what it is. That's because the signs were never meant to be loud. They were subtle, repeated, easy to dismiss, but now they're impossible to ignore. Think about it. How many times have you felt that sudden pull in your spirit to change direction, but you stayed where you were? How many times did you sense that something was off about a situation or a person, but you brushed it aside, telling yourself you were overthinking? How many times did you feel that nudge to step forward, to act, to move, but you hesitated? Those weren't random feelings. That was guidance. That was protection. That was God trying to redirect you before something went wrong. And this is where it becomes serious, because every ignored sign, every delayed response, every moment of hesitation has been leading up to this point. A point where the message can no longer be gentle. A point where the warning has to be clear, direct, and urgent. You've been chosen to receive this because you are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to alignment, purpose, and the breakthrough you've been praying for. The other leads to missed opportunities, repeated cycles, and a continuation of the confusion you've been trying to escape. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are deciding which path to take. This is why the warning is personal, because it's connected to something specific in your life. A habit you've been holding on to, that you know is no longer serving you. A relationship that has been draining your energy instead of strengthening your spirit. A decision you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable, even though deep down you know it's necessary. You've been given chances to address these things before, but now time is running out. This is not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, because what's at stake is not small. It's your peace, it's your direction, it's your purpose. And the truth is, not everyone receives a warning like this. Not everyone gets the chance to see the signs before it's too late. But you did. You are right now. That means something. That means you are not forgotten. That means you are being watched over, guided and called to step into something greater. But only if you respond. And here's what makes this even more powerful. You already know what this is about. As you're hearing these words, something specific is coming to your mind. A situation, a person, a choice, something you've been going back and forth on, something you've been unsure about, something you've been trying to delay. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. This message is reaching directly into that area of your life, because that's where the shift needs to happen. That's where the decision must be made. That's where your next step is waiting. But hesitation is no longer an option. Delay is no longer safe. Because when a warning comes this clearly, ignoring it comes with consequences. And you are too important to miss what's being prepared for you. Too chosen to stay stuck in what you've outgrown. Too close to your breakthrough to let hesitation pull you back now. So this moment, right here, is not just another moment. It's a turning point, a line drawn between what was and what will be. And how you respond to this warning will determine everything that comes next. But the real reason this warning arrived today is something most people will never understand. What you did in silence has already been seen in the spiritual realm. There are moments in your life that no one else witnessed, decisions you made behind closed doors, prayers you whispered when no one was listening, tears you held back so the world wouldn't see you breaking. You thought those moments were hidden, unnoticed, forgotten. But they were never invisible. Every choice you made in silence carried weight. Every time you resisted something you knew was wrong, every time you endured pain without seeking revenge, every time you stayed faithful when it would have been easier to walk away, it all registered in a realm beyond what your eyes can see. Nothing was wasted, nothing was overlooked, and nothing went unnoticed by God. You may have felt alone in those moments. You may have questioned if it even mattered, whether doing the right thing in silence was worth it, whether holding on, staying patient, staying disciplined, was changing anything at all. But what you couldn't see was what was happening behind the scenes, because while you were moving quietly on the outside, something powerful was being recorded on the inside. Not just in your heart, but in the spiritual realm, where timing, consequence, and purpose are all aligned in ways you cannot yet fully understand. Every action planted something, every decision set something into motion, and now those unseen seeds are beginning to respond. This is where it gets deeper, because just as your good actions were seen, so were the moments you compromised, the times you ignored what you knew was right, the times you allowed fear, doubt, or distraction to pull you away from your path. Those were seen too. Not to condemn you, but to measure the moment you're now stepping into, because divine timing doesn't just happen randomly. It responds. It aligns itself with what you've done, who you've been becoming, and what you've chosen, even when no one else was watching. That means where you are right now is not an accident. It's a result, a reflection of everything that has been building in silence. And now, you're entering a phase where what was hidden begins to surface, where what was delayed begins to accelerate, where what felt unnoticed begins to reveal its impact. You might already be sensing it. That sudden shift in energy, that feeling that something is different, that things are either coming together faster than expected, or falling apart in ways you didn't anticipate. That's not random. That's alignment, because when the spiritual realm begins to respond, It doesn't do so quietly. It moves things. It repositions people. It opens doors and closes others without warning. And it all traces back to what was done when no one was looking. This is why this moment is so important. Because you are no longer in a place where things can stay hidden. The season of quiet preparation is turning into a season of visible consequence, and that can work in two ways. For some, it becomes elevation. Doors open, opportunities appear, clarity replaces confusion. For others, it becomes exposure. Delays increase, things collapse, truth surfaces in ways they can no longer ignore, and the difference between those outcomes comes back to what was done in silence. That's why this message is reaching you now, because you are right on the edge of that shift, right on the line where what you've carried internally begins to shape your external reality in undeniable ways. And here's the part most people don't realize. Once this process begins, it doesn't slow down for you to catch up. With or without your full understanding, with or without your comfort, which means you are being called to become aware right now, to recognize that your past actions are not behind you. They are actively influencing what is unfolding in front of you, to understand that the discipline, the patience, the obedience you showed, it's about to matter more than ever before. And if there are things you need to correct, things you need to release, things you need to face, honestly, this is the moment to do it, because the response has already begun. The shift has already started. The balance between what was done and what is coming is already aligning. And now, something has been set into motion that cannot be stopped. You're not late, but you are running out of time. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. You haven't missed your moment. You haven't been forgotten. You haven't been disqualified from what's meant for you. But the window you're standing in right now, it's narrowing, quietly, steadily, without waiting for you to feel fully ready. This is the part no one talks about. Divine timing doesn't always feel comfortable. It doesn't always arrive when you feel prepared. Sometimes it comes when you're still unsure, still healing, still trying to understand why everything had to happen the way it did. But that's exactly why this moment is so critical, because what's coming next will not wait for hesitation. There is a shift approaching your life, not a small adjustment, not a temporary change. A real, undeniable shift that will alter the direction you've been walking in. And when it happens, it will be clear. It will be undeniable. It will feel like everything is either falling into place or being pulled away all at once. You won't be able to ignore it. You won't be able to delay it. And you won't be able to go back to the way things were before. That's why this warning is reaching you now. Because once this shift begins, it moves fast, faster than your doubts, faster than your fears, faster than your excuses, and it will require you to respond in real time. This is where many people lose their opportunity, not because they weren't chosen, but because they weren't ready to move when the moment arrived. They waited too long. They questioned too much. They hesitated when they should have acted, and by the time they realized what was happening, the window had already closed. But you are being given something rare, awareness, before the shift clarity before the movement, a warning before the change. That means you still have time, but not as much as you think. There are things in your life right now that are about to be tested. Your focus, your discipline, your willingness to let go of what no longer belongs in your next season, because what's coming cannot align with who you used to be. It demands a higher version of you, a more decisive version, a more aware version, a version that doesn't ignore the signs, doesn't delay the necessary changes, doesn't cling to what feels familiar just because it's comfortable. This is where the separation begins, between who you've been and who you are becoming. And the process won't be gentle. It will stretch you. It will challenge you. It will force you to confront things you've been avoiding. But it will also open doors you didn't even know existed. That's the paradox of this moment. It carries both pressure and promise, loss and elevation, endings and beginnings. And the way it unfolds in your life will depend on how you respond right now, before everything fully shifts. Because once it does, there will be no more warnings, only outcomes, only consequences, only the results of what was chosen and what was ignored. This is why the urgency is real, why the feeling in your spirit won't let you relax, why something inside you keeps saying, pay attention, because you are standing at the edge of something irreversible, something that has been building through every silent decision, every unseen action, every moment you thought didn't matter. It all leads here, to this point, to this shift. And whether it becomes your breakthrough or your regret will come down to what you do next. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, because you are not late, but you are running out of time. And in the final moments, you'll realize why this message had to reach you. Today, this is your final confirmation. You are not here by accident. Everything you felt while listening to this, every moment where your heart beat a little faster, where your thoughts paused, where something deep inside whispered, "This is for me," that was not imagination. That was recognition, because your spirit knows. It knows this message was meant to find you. It knows this is not just another video, not just another voice speaking into the noise of your day. This is a divine interruption, a final confirmation placed directly in your path, before something shifts in a way you cannot reverse. And now, the warning must be clear. You cannot go back to ignoring the signs. You cannot return to the same patterns, the same delays, the same excuses that kept you stuck before. Because now you know, now you've been shown. And with that awareness comes responsibility. This is where everything changes. You've been chosen. But being chosen does not mean being passive. It does not mean waiting endlessly, hoping things will somehow fall into place without your response. Being chosen means you are being called to act, to move, to align yourself with what you already feel deep within. Because faith without action will not carry you through what's coming next. And what's coming will require clarity. It will require courage. It will require you to trust what God has been showing you. Even when it doesn't fully make sense yet, you've already been given the signs, the discomfort that wouldn't leave, the doors that suddenly closed, the intuition that kept nudging you in a different direction, the feeling that where you are is no longer where you're meant to stay. Those were not obstacles. They were instructions. And now, you are out of time to pretend you didn't understand them. This is the moment where you decide, will you listen or will you delay again? Will you move forward or will you stay where it's comfortable? Will you trust what's being revealed or will you ignore it until it's too late? Because there is no middle ground anymore. The shift has already begun. And once it fully unfolds, it will carry you in the direction you've prepared for, either consciously or unconsciously. That's why this final confirmation matters so much, because it is your opportunity to step into alignment before everything accelerates, to release what you already know you need to let go of, to make the decision you've been avoiding, to finally become the version of yourself that is ready for what God has been preparing for you all along. You are not being left behind. You are being called forward, not out of fear, but out of faith, not out of panic, but out of awareness. Because when you move with clarity, when you act with intention, when you trust what God has placed inside you, everything begins to align in ways you could never force on your own. That's the power of this moment. That's why it found you. And that's why you cannot ignore it. If this message spoke directly to your spirit, don't stay silent. Comment Amen as a declaration that you receive this warning and that you're ready to act. Subscribe to stay aligned with messages that guide and awaken you in the moments you need it most. Like and share this with someone who needs to hear this before it's too late. Because you already know, not everyone will recognize the signs in time. This is your moment, your confirmation, your warning, your opportunity, and what you do next will echo into every part of your life that follows. After this moment, nothing in your life will ever be the same.